Alright, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So, in this video, I will show some logical operator in Excel, Microsoft Excel. So, some logical operator that we need to understand is equal signs, not equal, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. So this is the logical operator available in Microsoft Excel, right? So now we have two value here, 29 and 48. This is the same value. So this is the question, and so to test whether the value are equal. Let's say 29. We want to test whether 29 is equal to 48. So we just put equal. 29 is B3 equal to 48. So in Excel, if this value are equal, it will appear 0. It will appear true. So if the value is not equal, it will appear false. So in this case, 29 is not equal to 48, so it will appear false. So next, if you want to test for not equal, so 29, which is B4, not equal is this sign, less than and more than together, 48. So we want to test whether 29 is not equal to 48. Supposedly it will appear true because it's not equal. Right, and the next logical operator is greater than. So let's say we want to test 29 is greater than 48. It's supposed to be false lah, right? And the next one we want to test whether 29 is less than 48, right? So it's supposed to appear true, right? So next is you want to test greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. For the difference between greater than and greater than or equal to is just we add equal to after greater than. So now let's say we want to test 29 is greater than or equal to 48. So it will show false result, right? False, return false value lah. Right, for the next one, we want to test whether 29 is less than or equal to 48. So it will return true. So let's say we change this value to 29 as well. So it will not change the value lah. Let's say we change it to 30. 17. So it will change to true as well. Oh, sorry, I think I make a mistake. This is not 48, but this value, right? So it should return false, right? Yes. So if you want to see the formula, you just go to formula and click on show formula to see whether your formula are correctly input or not correct. So now let's say I change back to 48, right? It will appear true, right? So this is how logical operator works in Excel. So why we need to learn logical operator? So we need to learn a logical operator. We need to know logical operator in Excel because if you want to do a subsetting data, you want to do a data manipulation, sorting data, right? So logical operator plays an important role to sort or to filter the data in very effectively. Now let's look at the next function where we can apply the logical operator. The first function that we need to that I'm going to introduce is a if function. So if function, as we learn in logical operator, if let's say this one is equal to this one, right? So if not equal, it will return false. If equal, it will return true. That is the by default value or return result in Excel. Let's say we look at this one. let's say we want to test score number 1 equal to score number 2. We want to know whether score number 1 is equal to score number 2, and of course by default it will return false. If we change it to 50, it will return true, right? So this is the by default result return in Excel, right? Instead of having the value return result true or false, we want to change it to 0 or 1, right? So let's say 1 is true if the result is true, and 0 if the result is false. So to do this, we need to use a if function. So if function start with if open bracket. So if you can see here, it says that logical test and followed by value if true, comma, value if false. So logical test, our logical test here is 45 equal to score number 2, which is 50. So if true, we want it to appear 1, if false, 0. So it will change accordingly lah. So 45 is not equal to 50, so it will change to 0, right? So instead of having 0 and 1, we can also use pass or fail or others word that we wish to, right? For example, let's say I put if 45 is equal to 50, right? Or this is not logic. Let's say 45 less than 50, so it should appear fail. Let's say we put together A5 is more than 50, it should be appear pass. If otherwise, it should appear fail, right? So it should appear fail because value of score number 1 is less than score number 2. So we can also change it to yes or no if for the value of score number 1 is more than score number 2, then we put as yes. If not, we put as no, right? So in this if function, we can also use data manipulation such as addition, multiplication, subtraction and multiplication, right? So for example, let's say I put if 45 value score 1 is more than score number 2, and then we need to plus 45 plus 50 as score number 2, otherwise we put as invalid. So by default it will appear invalid because the value of score number 1 is less than score number 2. Never mind, we'll see. So it will show invalid. Let's say I change it to 76, so it will appear the summation of 76 and 50. So this is how we use if function lah. So this is the formula. If you can go to formula tab and click on show formula, you will see the formula of if function, right? Now let's go to next example, which is this is a complicated if. Let's say this is what we call as a nested if, right? In this example, I will introduce a nested if. In the nested if, we are trying to combine more than one if. Let's say firstly, we need to understand the concept of if. The concept of if, let's say, showing the formula. So this is the condition, logical condition. So if this condition is true, it will return this result. If not true, it will return this result. So the same concept we will put here, because we have a three condition here. If the result marks is less than 50, then the student should fail. If more than 50 is pass, more than 80 is distinction. So let's say we put here, if the student marks is more than 50 and more than 80, so it will show us the word distinction, right? So then if the marks is more than 50, so it will show us the word pass. Otherwise, if the marks B17 is less than 50, right, it will show us the word fail. Otherwise, it will show us invalid. So notice here we have 3 bracket open. We need to close 3 times. 3 bracket again. So the first bracket that we close is for the third bracket. See the color, purple color to purple color, and the second bracket we close is for the second open bracket, and the last bracket we close, which is color black color, is for the first color, right? So it will appear distinction if the marks is more than 80. So if you want to drag to fulfill the whole table, you just drag and drop, right? So 45 should be fail, 15 also fail, 75 is pass, so it's correctly classified the marks. So this is what we call as a nested if, right? We use more than one if in a single formula. So if you can see here, the formula, the first logical operation is when the marks is more than 80, so it will show distinction. If not true, it will go to the next if. When the mark is more than 50, it will show pass. If not true, it will go to the next logical expression, which is marks less than 50, it will appear fail. If not, all this condition is not true, it will show invalid, right? So this is how the nested if works, right? Okay, for the learning purpose, let's look at the next example. In this example, we have a salary data, right? Salary data. So for salary data, I have a current salary, beginning salary, previous experience, education, and salary classification, right? So let's say I want to, for salary classification, I want to classify when the salary is less than 50, so I would classify as a low salary. More than 50k is a moderate salary. If more than 100,000, so it should be a high salary. So I want to classify this, right? So now, so I need to do is I just click if. So what I need to do is now here you can see here I have more than I have 2 more than. So what I need to do is I need to fulfill the first one. So if the salary is more than 100,000, right? This is 100,000, right? It should appear high, right? And then if the salary is more than 50,000, it should appear moderate. And if the salary is if less than 50,000, it should appear low. So we don't need to specify, right? Because it will clearly understand low, right? So we need to calculate to close the bracket. So it will show us if the salary is more than 50, it show moderate. If less than 50, it will show low. So we have one is more than 100,000. Let's see how it works, whether it classify it correctly or not correctly. So yes, you can see here, more than 100,000 is classified as high. So this is how the if function works lah, right? So this is the formula. If you click on the formula tab and click on show formula, it will show the formula that we have input, right? So now let's move to the next function, which is AND function, right? So AND function, let's say let's look at the concept of AND function. AND function will return true or false, same as a logical operator, right? So let's say we want to see whether this function AND 95 is between 50 and 100. So let's say we just put AND, right? So logical operator, let's say we put more than 50 and comma before less than 100. So it will return. So we want to measure whether the value that we are inputting between this range. So we no need to write down the longer equation in if function, right? We just need to use AND function to shortcut the function. Basically, if we don't have AND function, also we can use we can do a manipulation using if function, but by the existing of AND function, we will save our time in typing the formula. So it will return true because we are measuring whether this score is more than or less than 100, right? So let's say we change it to 45, so it will return false because it's not lies and within this range, right? So now let's look at the previous example, right? The previous example we have done using very long formula, right? So let's say we change it to this one. Let's say we use AND function in if function. So we are using AND function within if function. So let's say if, and we can put AND, right? And let's say this marks, oh sorry, we need to put a bracket here and put marks is more than 0 and B9 less than 50, right? So it will show us the value of fail, right? So next, if I can put AND, then let's say B9 is more than 50 and B9 less than let's say more than 50 less than 80, so it should appear pass. So by using AND function, it should be the understanding of the formula should be very clear compared to if function. Right, let's look at the last one, which is if and B9 more than 80 and B9 less than 100, it should appear distinction, otherwise it should appear invalid, right? So let's look at the closing remarks, a closing bracket. So the first bracket is to close the this one, right? Second bracket should close the second if, and the third bracket should close the first if, right? So it will appear distinction. So basically this is the same result. If you compare, let's say, let me copy and paste this one. Wait, right, copy and paste this one side by side, right? So you can see there is a same classification. If you are using if function without n and if function with n, right? So for a better understanding, we can use n function in if function, so we can input our range value more accurately and without any mistake, right? So let's look at another example in example number 2, which is we have another data set. So in this data set, I have age, marital status, address, income category, and so on. So the condition number 1, so let's look at this one. This one I should delete. So this is the condition that we need to fulfill, right? This one I delete, right? So what I need to do is, I want to exclude age, observation age less than 30 and more than 70. I just want to select the age from 30 to 49 and 50 to 70, and I want to classify these two as adult and old. Other than that, I want to exclude. So by understanding the concept of n function and if function, so we need to put if and, right, wait, alright, so we put if and, so first I want to identify age more than 30 and less than 49, more than 30 and age less than 49. So I want to classify it as a adult, right? Then I put if function and for all age more than 50 and age less than 70. So in this case, I want to classify it as all. Oops. All right. Other than that, I just want to exclude them from the sample. Right. So be careful on the closing bracket. So if the first closing bracket is for the first if, the second closing bracket is for the second if. Let me see. Or here, when we open the end function, we need to finish with a close bracket. So now here we already complete the close bracket, so it will classify us as all, right? We can do for the rest observation. So when the patient age less than 30, so it will exclude it from our sample. This one, when the patient is from between 30 to 49. So this is how we use if function in and function in if function, right? Okay, so now let's look at or function. So or is basically same as n function. Instead of selecting both n, right, we want to select or either all or adult. So right, let's say for this condition, I want to make it let me make it bigger, right? So this is the same data set as n function, example number 2, right? So for this function example, for all function, instead of selecting both condition together, we want to select either one. Right, let's say if I have the condition number 1, this one I have all and adult excluded. So instead of having all and adult, so what I want to do is I want to combine either all or adult. It should be classified as include. If exclude, it should be stay as exclude. So now I'm using a function, right? This is using or in if function. So I just put or. So the function should be equal to all. If this one is equal to all and J8 equal to adult, right? So we close the bracket. It should appear as include, right? Otherwise it should appear as exclude. So now what happened here is, if I show the formula, so what happened here is I'm using or function. Or means that it will choose either one, means that if the condition is equal to all or condition equal to adult, either one, so it will resulting as include. If this condition is not met, it will stay as excluded, right? So this is how the or function works lah. So now if you can see, if my patient condition is adult, so you should include it into the sample. If excluded, it should be stay as exclude, right? So far we have already discussed the logical function, logical operator, if function, and function, right, and or function, right? I think that's all for logical operator. I hope that's helped you. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.